Picture this. Alibaba's Qwen team announces a fresh open model, and everyone running AI on their own hardware leans in. It's called Qwen3.8 27B, part of the Qwen3.8 generation, and it lands at a size that changes the whole calculus. Roughly 27 billion parameters. Big enough to reason and write real code, small enough that you can actually run it yourself on a single high-end GPU. No API bill, no data leaving your machine. Now, as of early August 2026, it was announced ahead of its release. So treat the exact specs as promised, not final. Let's unpack what that promise really means. So how does a request actually flow through a model like this? Follow it from your keyboard to the answer for stops along the way. Everything starts with your prompt. A question, a chunk of code, a task you hand over in plain language. On a local model, that request never leaves your own hardware, which is a big part of the appeal. It gets tokenized and fed straight into the network with no round trip to somebody else's servers. Behind that prompt sit the model's weights, roughly 27 billion parameters learned during Alibaba's Qwen training. That middle size is the entire point. Frontier models can run into hundreds of billions and demand a data center, while this one is tuned to fit on a single high-end GPU, especially once you quantize it down to lighter precision. This is where the tuning shows. The Qwen line has a reputation for strong reasoning and coding, so the model works through a problem in steps, drafts a solution, and checks its own logic before answering. It reportedly leans on the thinking style Qwen introduced in its 3 generation, trading a little speed for noticeably better answers on hard tasks. Finally, the response comes back, generated entirely on your machine. Because nothing round-tripped to the cloud, the output stays private and there's no per-token bill waiting for you. The trade-off is honest. You won't match Alibaba's flagship Qwen3.8 Max, but for most everyday reasoning and coding, a well-run local model gets you remarkably close. So why pick a mid-size open model at all instead of just calling a Frontier API? Here's the trade laid side by side. A Frontier model like Qwen3.8 Max or the big closed APIs gives you the absolute top of the benchmark charts. But you rent it. Your prompts travel to someone else's servers, you pay per token, and you sit at the mercy of rate limits, price changes, and whatever the provider decides to deprecate next quarter. Open weights flip all of that. You download Qwen3.8 27B once, and it's yours to run, fine-tune, and inspect. Your data stays in-house, the cost is just your own hardware, and nothing gets pulled out from under you. You give up a slice of raw capability, and in return you get control, privacy, and predictability. Strip it down, and 3 things make this release worth watching. This is the sweet spot everyone wanted. Roughly 27 billion parameters is large enough for genuine reasoning yet light enough to run on hardware a serious hobbyist or a small team can actually afford. It's the size that turns capable AI from a rented service into something you own outright, sitting on your desk. Open weights are the second pillar. Alibaba promised to publish the model on Hugging Face and ModelScope, the same way earlier Qwen releases arrived. That means you can run it offline, adapt it to your own data, and audit exactly what it does, freedoms a closed API simply cannot offer you. Reasoning and coding are the third. The Qwen family built its name on math, logic, and software tasks, and this model is tuned squarely for that kind of work. So the promise isn't a chatty generalist. It's a capable coding and reasoning engine you can point at real problems, entirely on your own terms. Alright, let's lock in what actually matters here. This is Alibaba's mid-size entry in the Qwen3.8 line, roughly 27 billion parameters of open-weight model built for reasoning and code. The middle size is the whole point, big enough for strong reasoning and coding, small enough to run locally on a single high-end GPU. Open weights mean privacy, no per-token bills, and full control, at the cost of not quite matching frontier models like Qwen 3.8 Max. Just remember, it was announced ahead of release, so verify the final specs when the weights actually land. Want more AI models broken down in plain language? That's exactly what we do over at Standarity.com. Come join us.